Hi, this is Jack Shalom. We're going to do something a little bit different today. Our guest is someone who I just met a few Fridays ago as a fellow immigration court watcher doing accompaniment under the auspices of the New Sanctuary Coalition here in New York City. We started talking, and I found him to be a fascinating person with a really eclectic, creative, and political background, with all kinds of awards and honors. So I'm happy to be speaking today with actor, musician, composer, professor, and activist, fellow at the Center for Ballet and the Arts, and also BMI Woody Guthrie Fellow, Andy Teirstein. Hi, Andy.
Hi, Jack. What a pleasure.
Well, Andy, since our initial meeting was at the deli early in the morning by the immigration courthouses at 290 Broadway and 26 Federal Plaza, what brought you down to the immigration court that day?
Well, as your listeners probably know, because you're involved in New Sanctuary as well, Jack, the New Sanctuary Coalition is something that's been around for, I think, 17 years. And they have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers now who are trying to stop illegal detentions and deportations. And what we were there for is that Friday morning, they organize court accompaniment sessions. So we were there as accompaniment volunteers to be there to help in any way we can with people who are requested to come to court for an appointed hearing before a judge to determine whether they will be forced to leave the United States. And I came because I've gotten involved a little bit because, like a lot of people, I'm shocked by what I'm seeing, people being forced into cars and kidnapped and thrown to countries that they're unfamiliar with, or thrown back to their home country to dangerous situations, or brought to detention centers in faraway states. And it's just, I'm shocked, and I felt like I needed to do something.
That's great. Well, it is shocking there, and we know that when we go and sit in the waiting rooms with people who are waiting for their court appointments, some of them have lawyers, but a good percentage of them don't, and that's shocking in itself because they're about to enter a potentially life-changing situation in the courtroom, and a lot of people don't even know what their rights are. The people in the courthouse don't make it easy. There are, of course, we've seen ICE agents on the different floors of the courthouse, and they're pretty much ready to grab anybody who exits the court with their case dismissed. It's a little bit difficult to understand, or paradoxical to understand, and some of our friends, we call the people who are going to court our friends, some of our friends don't always understand at the beginning that they're not looking for their court case to be dismissed if they've applied for asylum. In fact, if their case is dismissed by the judge, ICE is right outside the courtroom door to grab them. So the goal is to get the judge to say, your case is continued until 2027 or 2028. That's kind of a successful outcome, isn't it?
Yes, and while we were there, actually, we both were speaking with a young woman who was requested to come in. She first said that she had a green card. And so we went in with her, but it turned out, at first I thought, oh, she has a green card, so everything's cool. But then when eventually she opened up a little bit and shared her paperwork, and we both could see that she was brought in because she was going to be deported or going to be denied to be here. And then we went into the courtroom, and the judge, there were a couple of cases before hers, and one of them was a family. The judge was very cordial, I thought very considerate. And then there was a gentleman, a single gentleman, young man, who came in. And again, I thought it was a good proceeding. And they both agreed that he would come back in early June after he got some materials explaining why it was not appropriate for him to be deported to one of these countries that they send people to. And so he left with a new court date. And the moment he got outside, ICE was there, and they took him and whisked him away. That was very unsettling. I think it's really a crazy, crazy moment in our history. And I'm a musician. I'm a composer. I travel a lot, performing and doing what I do. And what I love about this country, there's really two things that make America special. One of them is the amazing landscape, the incredible places you can hike. You can be in the wilderness and canyons and mountains and rivers, everything. It's beautiful. And the other is the fact that it's a nation of Native Americans and immigrants. And, everybody who's been here who's not Cheyenne or Sioux or whatever has come here for help from another country to escape something or to find a better life. And, our ancestry is that. I'm sure yours is, mine is. And that's what's great about this country. That's what makes it really fascinating. I really think it's because people want to go back to the 1950s and try to create a white-dominated country. It's just not what I want. So,
Well,
that's
it's
why
so
I'm doing
absolutely irrational that when we go to the courts, we see that they're changing the rules every day. We never know what to expect. And the ironic thing is, the judges never know what to expect. We see them
this.
sometimes asking the prosecutors, does DHS agree with this or not?
Hmm.
And they've recently put in a really awful kind of plan now where DHS, Department of Homeland Security, argues if you present an asylum case, as most of the cases are, they will say, oh, good, you've presented an asylum case. You're from Ecuador, for example, and you've said that you can't go back to Ecuador. Well, you may have a good case, but you know what? We have a deal with Uganda where they listen to those kinds of cases. So your asylum case will be heard in Uganda, where you've never been. It's totally insane, and that's called pretermission. And this is something that's just come in. And the people at New Sanctuary Coalition and others, there are several groups that come down to the immigration courts to try and work with immigrants, are trying to find the new defenses for this kind of nonsense.
That's right. And I know when we were there after this gentleman was whisked away, we went to the Congressman Daniel Goldman's office. And that was fascinating to me because he's somebody who, before he ran for office, he was lead counsel for the Trump first impeachment. And he also contributed to Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow, which kind of bridges into another subject for us, which is that another reason why I get involved is because I teach in a prison. And sometimes the guys I'm working with there, my students in the prison, are afraid for the parole hearings because they think they're going to be sent off to these other countries, someplace where often a different language, or it's just insane.
It really is crazy. But I'm
Yeah.
very interested in, and I think this was our first conversation. We started talking about what you did. You said you had been an NYU professor, a very accomplished one for 30 years, but now you were more retired from that and you live upstate and you do this prison program in an upstate prison. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you got into it, what your expectations were, how it goes?
Yes, I love teaching in the prison. When I went for my PhD, I was found myself suddenly in an environment where everybody who was there wanted to be there and everybody was really excited about the subject. And I've taught for 30 years undergraduates and MFA students. And now here I am in the prison and I'm finding the same kind of students I found in my PhD program. They want to be there. They're excited about the subject. They've had to work very hard to get there. They have to be on special programs and good behavior and so forth for years before they can get into this NYU program. So the NYU Prison Education Program is an excellent thing. They do a terrific orientation for us. The students, the inmates, are not called inmates or prisoners. They're called students.
Ah,
It's quite a remarkable program. I really enjoy working with them. I teach music basics for songwriting and music basics for theater, and they get credit for it. It's at the Wallkill Correctional Facility. which is a medium security prison. Before that, I just volunteered to teach at a prison further upstate called Eastern Correctional, which is a maximum security facility.
Oh. And so what's day one like when you're walking into the class?
Yeah, well, you walk in, and the feeling is, if you're not used to it, is kind of a little bit shocking. There's these, just like in the movies, there's these huge doors, steel doors that kind of open and with buzzer, and you have to go through all the checks. You have to get your fingerprinted. You have to get your TB shots. Sometimes you're not allowed in. You're turned away because there's no call out. You can't communicate with the guys to tell them why you're not there. We just have to go back home. But the first day, you're in a room with 16 guys. It can feel a little frightening at first because they're big guys, tattooed, and intense kind of looking dudes. But then we start working, and within a day or two, you understand that these are human beings. They really miss their families. They miss their mothers, their sweethearts, and that's what they write about. And many of them have become very religious. There's church groups and synagogue and Islam groups inside prison. So they are in a process. They're broken people who are in the process of trying to find a path. And NYU helps them to come out, helps them. They can continue studying when they get out. In the prison, they can get an associate's degree. When they come out, they can get a bachelor's degree and continue their studies on campus. And then often there's counseling and spiritual counseling and other kinds of counseling to help them find jobs and stick with them. There's places where they can live. We have a place where they can live for a while. So I'm very happy to be working with them.
So give me your first 3 minutes of your opening speech on the first day
I mean,
of class.
it's pretty much like any other class. I ask them why they signed up, why they registered, what their interests are. I tell them, we go over the syllabus. I talk about what we'd like to do. I got to say that for the arts, it's a particularly tricky thing with these guys because they are really they're living in a very guarded life. It's very, machismo is the whole thing. And they're afraid to open up in front of each other. They call each other by their last names, Mr. This, Mr. that. It's funny because when they come into me, I mean, I remember one day I did a series of workshops, like 3 days of workshops on theater with them, and the guys came in, and as they come in, they introduce themselves with their nicknames that they give, their handles that they have. Hi, my name is Powerful. Okay, hi, come on in, Powerful. Hi, my name is Sincere. My name is Perfection. Okay, come on in, Perfection. And then one guy came in and he said, my name is James. Is this the book club? Well, it's come in, James. It's not the book club, but we are going to do some storytelling here. If you're interested in that, come on in. Oh, well, I'd like to come in, but I don't want to tell my story. Just don't make me tell my story, and I'm happy to come in. So I said, well, come on in. And so we started working. I try to get them to loosen up with some movement, a lot of physical things, moving their bodies a little bit, a little easy folk singing, to get their voices calm. And then there came a time when I had them take a piece of paper and go off in a corner and write about a transformational moment in their lives. Could be good or bad, just any moment that really changed them. So they go off and they think about this. And I see James with his writing, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, I can't ask him to talk about this because it's going to be his own story. It's just what he asked me not to do. So I had the thought, I said, okay, great. Now I'd like you to get a partner. You guys will be a pair. And read each other's stories, and you become the other person. Stand up in the group after 10 minutes, and you're going to tell their story as if it was your own story. And it was great. They did it, and James told this other guy's story. And I thought it was it was a great moment. And at the end of it, we had a little kumsitz. We all sat in a circle, and we talked about what happened with the day. And the guys were like, yeah, James, you didn't want to do it, but you did it. And it was a good thing for us. So that's the kind of thing that happens there. For me, it's an enriching experience to work with these guys.
Is it a one-shot deal? Because obviously prison life must be somewhat chaotic, people coming in and out. And
That is
uh,
true.
so is there any continuity from, is it what, once a month, once a week?
No, it's actually a semester. It's exactly the
Oh,
same as a semester on campus. It's
oh
once a week.
goodness. Uh-huh.
Once a week, 14 meetings for the semester, and they have homework. They have a syllabus.
Wow.
They have all the books that they have to read. Pretty much are folded into my course reader. That's about 300 pages. So that's what it is. It's quite regular and it's graded. There's quizzes and exams and all that kind of stuff.
Wow, that's fantastic. Andy, being upstate, I think maybe you can give us a perspective that we don't get from down here in the city about what's going on with ICE in the rural areas. What do you see happening with ICE upstate?
I mean, what's amazing is that all these people, there's all these networks. I work with a network up here called Ulster Rapid Response, and it's just fantastic. It's growing exponentially every day, and there's a lot of volunteers. And so if somebody is in trouble, if there's an ICE van or SUV spotted, then there's a whole system now we have using an alternative platform. We alert each other. We have somebody come to verify. There's verifiers who are trained that way to that this is actually a problem, or no, it's just a cop in a different car. And then we have people who will come in and try to speak if ICE is at the door, to try to shout out from a distance we talk about what's safe and how much risk one can take. But we say la migra está aquí, the ICE is here, don't come out. But I got to say that, we have an executive, a county executive, Jan Metzger, who spoke up right away in 25 in June, I think it was, about this whole situation with the sanctuary. We are kind of a sanctuary county. We were listed that way by Trump's people.
Which county is that, Andy?
Ulster County. It's
Ulster.
not just
Oh, yeah.
Ulster. It's also, I think Orange and Sullivan. So that means that the sheriffs and the police have agreed not to work with ICE, and ICE is not really that welcome here. So it's much more sparse when it happens. It does happen, though. ICE does come. They do take people away, but it's very rare. And we have this incredible network set up every day, patrolling and giving each other, telling you if they've seen an ICE car, where it is, or so always watching for that, going into schools and speaking to people about it, food pantries. And it's a little different than New York City, because here, if you see an ICE car, you might follow them in your car. And we're trained to keep a certain distance and all these kinds of things. It's a little different here.
You mentioned doing some folk music, and of course, I know that you were one of the co-devisers of a show called Woody Says about the life of Woody Guthrie, which has been performed across the continent and here and all over the place. Tell us a little bit about that and what your influences are musically.
I had the good fortune to sign up when I was a kid for a crazy kind of high school experience. It was through a friend of mine I found out about this, and my parents resisted it, but I did it when I was 17 or so. It was called the Trailside Country School. And the concept of this was we traveled all around the country in a bus, working for people in exchange for learning about their lives. So we worked for Mennonite farmers, harvesting sunflowers. When we got to Arizona, for the Hopis, helping them rebuild their kivas. We worked for an archaeologist in Utah. And along the way, we learned wilderness skills, and we learned about the music of each place we went to. So the guy who led it, Mike Cohen, he's still alive, he's in his 90s. He's one of the folk revivalists from a band called the New Lost City Ramblers, which was a great band. That was his brother John, so he grew up with that. And everywhere we went, he knew somebody who played the fiddle or the banjo, and he played banjo. So I learned the banjo and the fiddle starting there, and I learned just a lot of the folk music from around the whole area. Every night we would sing songs. So from that, I got involved with all this kind of Woody and Pete Seeger and all those guys, Leadbelly, all that kind of music. And this show, Woody Says, we did it off Broadway at the Irish Repertory Theater. And we've also done it in China and in Palestine and Israel. We've done it, up and down the West Bank, in Jenin, Hebron, and all those places. We've done it in Germany and a lot of places and around the country for years. We did this since 2007, and I played all the characters who were not Woody Guthrie, all the male characters. And Woody was another guy, my friend David Lutkin. So it's really about the workers' movement in the U.S. in the 30s and 40s, which was what Woody and Pete were going around and singing protest songs and songs about the workers. A lot of people don't know that the workers' movement was a huge, huge thing. We kind of forget about the importance of that and how vital it was at that time to get some rights for workers and all the unions. So it was a big deal, and that's really what the show is about.
And what are you up to lately? What are you doing lately? You haven't
Yeah.
done enough in your life.
An opera. I'm creating an opera with a paramedic in New York City named Maggie Dubree. She's a poet, and she's been a paramedic for 30 years or so.
We
in
know
Hell's
her
Kitchen.
from New Sanctuary Coalition, too.
That's right. That's another reason why I came to New Sanctuary, is because Maggie was leading that day, and I came.
I see.
So Maggie is my collaborator on a show based on her memoirs as a paramedic in New York. So it's about frontline workers in the 80s, 90s, aughts, during the AIDS crisis, during the violent 90s, and a woman paramedic in a man's medical world, basically. And that's kind of an opera, musical theater piece that we're creating together. And we'll be doing a reading of that in August at the Irish Arts Center.
Oh, that's great. You trained with Leonard Bernstein, Henry Brandt, Stephen Sondheim, Arthur Lawrence, to name a few of your teachers. I mean, that's quite a group. And I know every genius is unique, but I was wondering if there was some common essence or message that you felt that you received from them. Is there a way that you synthesize something from them?
Oh, what a fantastic question. Wow, that's something I have to think about. I mean, I suppose there is something that is across the board with a great teacher, and these were great teachers. You'd think I would have had a little more success in my life given all those teachers. But it's been interesting. It's been a good trip. But the thing that's common to all of them is you got to be passionate about what you're doing. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you love it, you'll do it more. That's what Bernstein would have said. I mean, the main way you learn is not from anything you're studying in a book, but it's from doing the thing. You just do it. And if you want to write music, for instance, the more you write, the more you're going to learn. And so being passionate about it, falling in love with it, that's what gets you the ticket to really be doing it for your life and to make something that's meaningful for yourself.
That's great. Anything else you'd like to add, Andy?
I love the way we met and that we came to this interview. It's just terrific. It shows that you're somebody with open eyes, watching and listening to people. So much appreciated, Jack. Much appreciated.
That's pleasure is mine. Andy, I hope you can come back soon and go more into depth about your work. You can find out more about Andy and sample some of his wonderful musical theater videos and compositions and a whole lot more at his website, andyteirstein.com. And I'm going to spell that because it might be a little tricky over the radio to figure out how to spell it. So it's one word, A-N-D-Y, Andy, Teirstein, Teirstein.com. And I highly recommend you visit it. I think you'll enjoy what you see there. So thanks again, Andy.
Thanks a lot, Jack.
And this is Jack Shalom for Arts Express with host Prairie Miller. And we'll go out as we opened with an excerpt of a musical composition composed by Andy Teirstein.
We never looked for trouble, but it's trouble that we found all along the highway where you and I were bound. Now I share one window high up on this wall with the other broken drifters whose fortunes had to fall.